Hello, folks. We'll be starting in just a minute. Give everyone a chance to get in here. Folks, if you have questions, please put them in the webinar chat. We'll have a Q&A at the end, but if you have a question that pops into your mind, don't fret about it. Throw it in the chat. We'll get to it, I promise. And we'll be starting in just a little bit. If you don't know me, my name is Dave Stokes. I'm a community manager at DBeaver, and this is a webinar on DBeaver AI features, and we're talking about configuring security settings. Be starting in a second. Once again, if you have questions, throw it in the chat. We love questions. Okay, let's get rolling. Well, here's what you're going to walk away with today after this presentation. We're going to give you step-by-step guidance on using AI, the AI features with DBeaver, how to set up the privacy controls. And you'll learn how to manage the sharing permissions and set clear boundaries on your data so that it doesn't go further than you want. And we're going to talk about some best practices and hopefully some ways to keep everything secure and not burn through a lot of very expensive tokens. And once again, we're going to have a live Q&A. Please throw whatever you have into the chat where you can ask your own questions. And if you have questions about setup, even on non-AI issues, we'll try to walk that through. So artificial intelligence is changing the way we work. It's something that was kind of ominous in a Colossus the Forbidden Project or War Games or any other artificial intelligence is evil type thing a few years ago. Now it's a part of our life. You go out and get on the web and ask your question, chances are it's probably going to be answered by some sort of artificial intelligence. Now, for those of you in the technical world, it's a lot faster to refer to an AI to actually drag out the manual and search for the answer. I'm telling folks it's kind of like if you're an old-time programmer like I am, it's like making a leap from running VI or Vim to an IDE. It is really a leap forward and it can be really useful. Now, one of the problems with AIs is that they're trained on patterns, so they give you a lot of correct answers if what you're seeking is in a pattern. But it's not perfect. Sometimes that answer isn't in a pattern. Like if I say ABC, your brain is probably thinking DEF, but maybe it's ABCG. May not fit the pattern. Now, prompts, which is the way you ask questions to the AI, can be refined over time. It's like having a Socratic dialogue with a assistant. Now, the trick is the prompts work better the more you specify details. Pretend the AI is not very intelligent, but it can go out and get intelligence. It's just not great by itself. So if you're asking for a table on customer orders, mention the version of the database you're using and the type. Tell it what type of processing you're going to be doing. Give it specifications that you want. Like if it's going to be for customer orders, you want a unique primary key, and you want to partition the data by geographic region. The more you specify, it's better. Now, maybe it comes back with something and you're not totally happy with it, and you say, okay, take that primary key and make it a UUID version 7 so it actually stores better and indexes easier. That's a new feature in Postgres 18, by the way. Make your life easier. And there are always ways to do more training. You can give it more examples of data or how you want it processed. Maybe you don't need it partitioned by geographic region, maybe by product line or some other way to demark your data. So security. You really don't want your private data out there where it doesn't belong. No one wants to wake up one morning and find that there's something about you on the front page of the New York Times that you don't want exposed. So you need to actively protect your data and your intellectual property. Now, there are some things that you really want to keep confidential and secret that maybe is not right for an AI right now. Maybe you have human resources information or some sort of process that you're in the process of patenting. That's probably not a great idea. So the other thing to watch out for is regulations. There are a lot of regulations. GDPR, especially if you're in North America and you're not in Europe, but you're dealing with European customers, GDPR can still get you. Credit card information is always a big vulnerability, and you have to protect that. Folks around the medical fields have to watch out for HIPAA. And there's all sorts of compliance frameworks out there, NIST, the ISO standards, the EU AI Act, and there's more coming every day. So you really want to make sure that you're keeping what you want secret, secret. And you also want to make sure you're not coming into violation of any of these standards. So, by the way, I know there might be some people out there who signed up for this webinar not knowing what DBeaver is. Well, it is a universal database tool. We interface to over 100 databases, and if it has an ODBC or a JDBC driver, we can talk to it. If you have something that doesn't, please let us know. We'll be happy to try to accommodate you. It uses a SQL editing tool. It's a very good one. So if you run into the problems where you're trying to remember what /x auto is, that's in PSQL, what that is in the MySQL shell, this is a standard interface, so you don't have to worry those little things like that. So if you're dealing with multiple databases, this is a great way to have a standard way to look at your data and deal with it. Database management, move data from one database to another, change data types, anything you want to do on the fly with your data, we are the way to do it. Backups, restores, we are the way to do it. Now, if you need an entity relationship map to help document what's going on, great tool for that. And we have a lot of other features that I can't really go into because we're limited on time. One of the interesting about our AI features is you have the use of several large language models. We'll talk about it a little bit. And by default, we are secure. And we'll show you more of that later. Okay, what is an LLM? It stands for large language model. It's basically a neural network that understands a language like English, Chinese, Basque, Spanish, that is used to looking at patterns in data and figuring out the next step. And it's usually trained on huge amounts of text data, and the model is basically a neural network. It sees, like I mentioned earlier, the ABC, it sees patterns in the language and in questions and generates results. And think of it as a system producing human-like contextual responses. As I'll keep mentioning, it's not always perfect, but it can be very impressive. Okay, what is a prompt? Well, the prompt is what you give the AI to go out and start working on. They can be very simple. If you go out on the web and look at people who are doing prompt engineering, there are folks who are running Dickens length questions into an AI trying to get more precise answers. But for the examples we're using today, they're going to be fairly simple. Depends on what you need. One of the examples we have is who are our top 5 customers in EMEA? And there's other things you can do where you can actually have it, I won't call it role playing, but you say, okay, pretend you're a CPA and I have a checkbook and I have all these statements and I need to reconcile to figure out how much money I have. The LLM will go out there and from a CPA's standpoint, go through and walk you through a reconciliation. This is a quote from someone who was in our last webinar where we were talking about AI features. And this person, who actually won some swag from us, says the AI chat and AI commands are their favorite time savers. They write commands in English, and it gives ready-to-run SQL queries. And they say it's super helpful when I'm working with unfamiliar schemas or switching between SQL dialects. As I mentioned earlier, if you're playing with multiple databases, you really need a copy of DBeaver. Okay, you can work on things iteratively. One of the examples I like to use is who are our top 5 customers in EMEA? Now, this is something where some of the LLMs, when you ask questions like that, they'll come back and they'll ask you, what do you mean by top? Are you talking tallest, widest, roundest, whatever? Are they by frequency? Are they doing it by value? Is there some other measure that you need to do? Otherwise, we'll just assume that's by revenue. So this is something you have to work with your LLM to figure out how it's going to respond to you. Also, so like we do our top 5 customers, and we use the term EMEA, but the AI doesn't understand what EMEA is, not knowing that it stands for Europe, Middle East, and all that. So if you're using acronyms or abbreviations or industry terms that may not be understood, you need to specify them and make sure that the AI doesn't go down the rabbit hole that you don't want to go to. And let's say like we ask who our top 5 customers are in EMEA, and we get the results and we say, no, 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 we just want the French-speaking countries. So we ask it, please include only the French-speaking countries. We get France, Belgium, and whoever is speaking, considered a French-speaking country there to refine our answers. Another thing you can do iteratively is pull up a query, have it work on it, and say like we're going to take our top 5 customers in EMEA, and we want the query to do quarterly roll-ups of revenue. It's very easy to have a dialogue with the LLM and produce answers. Now, for the LLMs, there are several options out there. I'm going to read these out of order. Commercials options out there. You've probably been bombarded with these. ChatGPT, Grok, all these others, GitHub Copilot. They're out there, and some of them have different charges for different things. And there are several available LLMs for DBeaver. In our community edition, it's OpenAI or GitHub Copilot, 2 very excellent AIs. In the subscription versions, then the pro versions, we have OpenAI, GitHub Copilot, Azure OpenAI, Google Gemini, and Ollama. Now, last webinar we were very surprised with the number of folks who wanted to run Ollama, which is a tool that simplifies using open source LLMs. It's free, it works really well, it has a lot of different options. There are also several other on-prem options that you have that are out there. There's too many options to really mention. Do your research and see what you like. Ollama is a good place to start, or any of these others down here, they more than do the job. Now, the first line of defense for your data when you're using DBeaver is, and this seems silly, but there's a lot of new tools out there that don't have this feature, password protection. Your credentials to get into the databases are protected by a password. It might seem trivial, but a lot of tools don't have that. Also, when you say that you want to go out and use AI to work with your schemas, the first thing we're going to ask, or first thing DBeaver is going to ask is, do you confirm AI usage? Now, this is an example where I want to use the MySQL Sequila data set, and it says, you're aware that you really want to do this, so you have to opt in. Another line of defense that we have is filters. Hopefully you can see this little funnel here with the gear. You basically can filter what you want. You name the database connection that you want. You can continue an old conversation or start a new conversation. You can filter this down to the current connection or just this conversation. And in this case, by default, we're going to use all the objects in the sample database, or we can customize it. By customizing, I mean we select which tables are actually going to be able to be accessed by the LLM. Notice we also include views if you want to use views for processing. So in this case, we're just looking at album and customer. Maybe we're doing a research into who are the most popular albums or tracks in those albums. Notice we don't have invoice. So if we want to keep the AI out of our revenue stream, we can do that easily. Okay, on to the settings. The DBeaver community settings are very interesting. You go to preferences and general AI, and the first option you have is enable AI integration. If you don't want AI, you can turn it off and never have to worry about any of this. And then from here, you can check which engine you want. If you are going to use OpenAI, for instance, You click on this link, it will give you a token for the API that you paste into here. There are many different models that you can pick from, window sized, and a whole bunch of other information. If you want to, you can write your queries to a debug log, and this is the way you do the initial setup. Now, the second page for the community edition is interesting. Here you can pick your language. You see the available languages here, which is quite a selection. By the way, if your language isn't here or your company's language isn't here, please let us know. We can also have options to include the source in a query comment, execute SQL immediately. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Now, for the database structure, we, by default, send column type information. We send the DDL. And sometimes, optionally, we can send object descriptions if there's more information available. Now, for queries, you can set things up for like selects, have them execute immediately, which means if you have a big, nasty query that's going to churn through a data lake, it will go off and do that. Or you can ask it to hold off until you can confirm it. Modifications, it can do the modification right away, or I recommend turning on show confirmation, do the double check. Do you really want to make this change? Also for schema changes, it could make sure that you prompt to make sure that it knows that you really want to do this. Okay, let me check over on the chat. No questions yet. Okay. Also, as I mentioned, DDL and to the LLM. Okay, for the enterprise versions, it's pretty much the same as the first page on the community. Your options, which are OpenAI, GitHub Copilot, Azure OpenAI, Google, Gemini, or Olama. Get your token, pick your model. Now, this is a little different. This is a second page that the community edition doesn't have. It can make sure that it sends previous chat answers. So if you're doing a dialogue with the AI and make sure that the AI has all the previous information that you have, it will send that over. You can say how long you want to keep that information. We also have another component right now that's an experimental thing that I don't recommend turning on right now, but this is another way to deal with the data, and that is coming in the future. Now, the enterprise settings is a little more complex than what you see in the community edition. You have rules on table joins, and you have a little more options over here on the right-hand side of this dialog. Once again, you send the DDL to the AI, the description. You can also have it send foreign keys. So if you are doing relational data and use foreign keys, this is very handy. Also, you can decide if you want to send unique and primary keys. I really recommend sending primary keys on. And this is something that a little different than the community edition. If you want to try to improve the quality of what you get back from the AI, you can click this and send sample data to the AI so it has a little better idea of what it's modeling. But if you don't want that, it's turned off by default. So some examples. By the way, have questions, please throw them in the chat. So sometimes you run across a query that you have no idea what it does. Maybe it's something left over from another project. Someone who was very bright but didn't quite document what they're doing left you a query. So you have this query here, select first name, last name, summing an amount from joining two tables. You can't make heads or tails of this. Now, this is a fairly simple query, but you get the things that are 50 lines long and a half dozen joins, and it gets absolutely a nightmare to try to trace down what it does. Well, what you can do is take that query and ask the AI, what does this query do? Once you have it into the dialog box, you can hit send. And I like to point out in the enterprise versions, you can actually verbally send prompts. This is kind of exciting. So if you really want to have a true dialogue, you can actually have that with the LLM. Once again, it's going to ask you to use the AI features. Do we need to transfer some of your metadata? If that's sensitive information, you have stuff in there you want protected, don't. Once again, I'm using the MySQL Sequila data set. It's been around for decades. There's nothing in there anywhere remotely secure or needs security. You might be prompted for your master password to get into DBeaver. So we are really making sure that someone just doesn't walk up to your machine and do something nefarious. So we ask, what does this query do? And you'll see a spinning wheel as the LLM goes off. In this example, it's OpenAI. By the way, the LLMs, the commercial ones, have different speeds, and it will come back with an answer. And here's our question: what does this query do? And the answer comes back. This SQL query retrieves a list of customers along with the total amount they have paid. And it breaks down how it does it and gives you lots of good details. Great for documentation, the information goes back. And once again, you have more options. You can take this query and execute it right away. If you want to amend it somehow, you can throw it in an editor and work on it there. Or you can copy it into the clipboard and paste it someplace else where you want to go. Now I'm going to do something bad here. I'm going to take that query and I'm going to change first name to just first. I got rid of the underscore name. And when I try to run the query, it fails, as you would expect. And we get the message, unknown column C.first in field list. Well, I butchered it purposely here in a very simple way for illustration. But sometimes you get a query that just breaks and you don't know why. Well, we have a good solution for you. You hit the AI explain and fix. And what that does is it takes that query and asks the LLM, please explain what's wrong with the following SQL query, and please give me a fix. And we wait for the answer. And the answer comes back that the error message is indicating there is no column name first in the customer table. And it comes back and rats us out saying you might try using first underscore name, not first. And it rewrites that query that I had butchered to put it the correct way. And once again, I can execute it. I can throw it into the editor. The DBeaver SQL editor is a great tool if you haven't used it yet, or copy it off to go someplace else. Or let's say we have that query and we like it, but it doesn't do everything we want. And we can ask it to add the city to the last query's output. I don't know why, I guess because where I was raised, I always put please and thank you on stuff. You don't have to do that, but it's just habit on my part. So please add city to the last query's output. It will take that query and determine what it has to do. And in this case, it's going to join the city table, and it's going to know how to join the two tables, the city table and the address table. And once again, we can execute it, put it in the editor to work with it more, or copy it away. Oh, we have a question. Let me thank this. Actually, I have a couple questions. How does DBeaver combine with LM control data privacy? Well, what we do is you decide how much you want to share with the LLM. And as I mentioned earlier, we can use filters to keep certain tables out of the access to the LLM. And if you don't want to share it, you don't have to. Also, that was from Shivash to everyone. Also, we have one from Sheila. When reviewing the AI configuration setting in DBeaver Teams Edition, we are in our trial period. We received a message stating we don't have the required permissions. Could you clarify whether this is expected during the trial or if there's a way to enable access for evaluation purposes? Sheila, I am really not the person to give you any advice on Teams Edition. I don't have a lot of experience there, but we will make sure that we get your name and we will get that out, an answer to you. If that doesn't work, please email me at david.stokes@dbeaver.com and we'll get you an answer. Okay. Sometimes you have a database project that's tossed over the wall. Uh, that works for some small segment of the company, and some senior VP decides this needs to be universal, but you have no idea what it does. So here we have a database that we've loaded and we want to examine it. So we use AI and we say, describe this database object. And it will, uh, we ask for provide a structured, concise description of what's going on. And what comes back is thankfully a very verbose, at times, explanation. This is a database schema represents a music store, and it talks about the various tables, breaks down the information in the tables. And now we have a pretty good idea what goes on here. You can also describe uh, tables and queries. It's a wonderful tool. Now, let's go back to the question I kind of mentioned earlier. Who are the top 5 customers in EMEA? And I've typed this into the AI assistant, and notice that I did not mention really what EMEA was. And as I mentioned earlier, I kind of glossed over what top means. And the AI will come back and says, we need to define what top means. And it says how it's going to define top as the customer is having the highest total invoice amount. And it goes out and runs that query and then explains how that query works. Now, some of you may be wondering, um, you know, how good is this AI? Is it as sharp as I am? Well, it's pretty good. If you ask it to write general queries, a lot of the LLMs out there knows how to write CTE and windowing functions. So the SQL quality is usually pretty well up there. Not perfect. I would say it's on par with a good junior developer with SQL skills. And one thing that helps to get generated SQL up to the level you want, specify the brand and the release of your database. You don't want it doing something for MySQL 5.7 that was a feature that only came out at 8.0 or 9.0. Specify what sort of keys you want, how you want things indexed. If you have an idea for covering index, the more information you give it. Partitions, how you want to pull data. Maybe you have some JSON data that you're pulling in and you need to quickly sort on some key fields, maybe use a generated column. Now, the great thing about this is the AI can do a lot, but the responsibility is yours. You have to test it, make sure it's doing exactly what you're doing, what you want. We have another question. Let's see. Oh, it's from our CEO. DBeaver itself doesn't collect any data. It only transfers it to the LLM. So you decide what to share with the LLM based on the LLM data privacy policy. We recommend checking with the LLM on how it uses your data. Okay, how can you prove the trustworthiness of AI? Safeguards. You saw the confirmations we had earlier. One of those I forgot to mention was auto commit mode. So if you're trying to do something iteratively with the data and you don't want to write those changes out to disk right away, you're doing a transaction of some sort or something transactional, turn off auto commit. Make sure that before you modify anything that it double checks with you. It's easy to step on your own toes and trip yourself. Something else I recommend, read-only access to the data unless you need the LLM to modify something. Maybe it's in the US you have zip +5 and you want to just go to the standard 5-digit zip code. You probably don't want the LLM working directly with the data. So make it read-only. Use the filters. If you don't want the invoice table being referenced, don't give it access. Something else is how good is the answer? You are the SME, you are the expert. So you have to look at what the LLM gives back to you and determine whether that is the answer you want. And you're also the one who has to make the judgment, is this a good use of your data? And once again, we will ask you over and over again, do you confirm AI use for your data? And it sounds like I'm hammering this too much, but you're the one who has to double check. AIs are wonderful things. I think they're going to be the assistants of the future, but double check. Now, in an earlier version of DBeaver, we didn't have the confirmation settings, and I thought I was dealing with a materialized view, and I asked it to remove some of the data from what I thought was the view. Actually ended up being the table, and it removed the rows. So you have to be conscious of what's going on underneath. Now, for those of you in a super secure SCIF type environment, and you're going to run Olama because you don't want your traffic going out over the network, air gap everything. Get what you need on the machine, turn off networking, run your request, and hopefully everything else goes on. Okay, we got two more questions. If we're talking about the data itself, not metadata by default, DBeaver doesn't send your data anywhere. Okay. We cannot rely on individuals to decide whether or not to send data to the LLM. Well, if you can't rely on individuals, that kind of infers that you're going to have committees do it. There are probably going to be cases in the future where corporations will send down rules saying you might be able to send metadata about your customer information, but not customer information. Fortunately, that's going to be a case-by-case basis for every organization. Okay, are there differences between the LLMs? Yes, there are. They have different focus points. They're all trained on different data and have different emphases. So you really get a lot out of comparing answers. I, earlier this year, wrote a blog about trying the same request between multiple LLMs. That was in our last webinar. And 3 of the 4 had the exact, pretty much same answer. The 4th one had a different idea of how to make sure that it was giving me exactly what I wanted. In that simple example, there really wasn't an ounce of difference between them all, but bigger data sets, different data sets, more complex questions, it probably could have been something more significant. Now, speed and cost are going to be something that you're going to have to look at. Some of the LLMs are quite expensive for tokens. Some of them run a lot faster than others. This is going to be a caveat emptor idea. You're going to have to go out and work with your vendors and see what you want. There's lots of options out there. Don't buy the first one you run across, try them all. Now, last webinar we had, we were very surprised with the response we got from Olama. It's open source, it's popular, and I will admit at that time, I hadn't played a lot with Olama, just had done very minimal work with it. Now, I've done a lot, and I can come back and tell you that a 16 gigs of memory, a lot of things will time out, not really come easily when you're asking questions. It's better with 32, and the more memory it is, the happier. For me, overall, Gamma 3 was the best LLM to load on top of Olama. Your mileage may vary. And once again, since this runs natively on the same machine, I can shut off the Wi-Fi, pull the network cable, and everything's on the machine. Nothing's going across the net to an LLM that may or may not be sniffing my data. So some general recommendations. If you're self-hosting, to get good response, prepare to spend money on memory, GPUs, and it is very CPU intensive. This is not like the old days of the Hadoop clusters where you're going out and buying tons and tons of machines. Maybe an investment in one very muscular machine will take care of what you need. The commercial offerings, look at their offerings for expense, speed, and security concerns, and make sure that you read the details to see what they do with your data and what your responsibilities are. Now, once you've settled on a commercial vendor, don't waste tokens. They can be expensive, and a good way not to do that is write very precise prompts. The more specific you are, the better. If you don't want to send data, it could affect the accuracy. but that way you know your data isn't going there, you just send the metadata. Be careful with iterative prompt writing. Sometimes it's easier to get long-winded. You end up putting tautologies into the logic, and you can confuse yourself and the LLM. And once again, turn off automatic execution if you're doing something that's really going to impact the performance of your server. And once again, check out the speed. They can vary greatly. Now, AIs are a really nice addition to your skills, and you need to make sure you're managing it. You are in charge of the AI, not the other way around. So if you don't know our offerings, these are our pro versions. I use the Enterprise Edition and I love it. We have the Lite, the Enterprise, and the Ultimate. There's also a Team Edition, so if you are working with a group of people and need to share data, it's wonderful. We also have a cloud offering that is really powerful. These are kind of our definitions of what they do. And we have these features we like to brag about. The @AI command you get in the SQL editor, type AI, what are my most 5 expensive properties in inventory? It will send it out to the assistant. We have that chat panel that you've seen that gives you the details. The explain and fix. If you're not good with SQL, you will love this feature. It will take what you write and proofread it. The query explanation is wonderful, especially if you're in an environment where you're not really sure what everything does, but you need to be able to manage it. Query suggestions. It will get real-time suggestions to help you write your SQL and make it better. And object descriptions can really help you document your databases. If you have stuff you're not really sure what's out there, it's better to run through the AI and have it give you its feedback. Okay, Q&A. Let me go back and see what I missed while I was talking. DBeaver team allows you to control what LLM individuals use, as well as what database schemas they have access to. Can we connect DBeaver to a private enterprise AI instance such as Copilot? I believe so. It kind of depends on how you're attaching to it, but we do have a way to talk to Copilot now. I'm sure it's just be a matter of make sure it addresses the right machine. And Canadian wrote, this approach would prove the right solution for ensuring data privacy. So, what questions do you have? What sort of privacy problems do you think that AI might cause? And what else can we show you? I can fire up a copy and do some demos if we need to, but want to see what's going on with you folks. By the way, if you have questions, contact us at support@DBeaver. By the way, I'm david.stokes@dbeaver.com. The recording for this will be available shortly. Make sure we put out notices on social media. By the way, those additions that we have back here, if you want to try them for 2 weeks, please let us know. We'll send you a license that's good for 2 weeks. And by the way, if you want to try Enterprise for 2 weeks, and then Team Edition for 2 weeks, and then Ultimate for 2 weeks, we understand, and we can let you do serial trials. And your feedback matters. We're going to send you out a survey, and we'd like to know your feedback. And please let us know whatever the subject you want to know for future webinars. And beyond that, hit us by email. So let me talk to the coordinators here and see if there's anything else they want to add or ask.
I do want to share that we will have a survey after the webinar ends, and if you can take some time just to answer what you think about this, if there's anything else that you would like to learn about AI and DBeaver or any other security questions, it would be really helpful because we're always looking to improve these webinars and make them better for you. But hopefully everyone enjoyed it and learned something new. Once again, I do see a question. Will we be sending out the deck from this webinar, yes, we will. We'll send an email with a recording so you can watch us again and we'll share the deck. And also with the email that we send out, if you have any questions, you can ask us by replying to the email too. So does anyone else have any questions or anything else that you'd like to see maybe in action within DBeaver? Okay, well, I think that's it. And if you hang on after the webinar, there will be a quick question about what you thought. We would really love your feedback. And thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great weekend, everyone.